Hey guys, Alex here. Welcome back to my channel. It is day 14 of our 30 days create a habit with me. In my case is a draw with me challenge, and today I want to talk about a bit about drawing traditionally versus drawing digitally. As you can see, I am creating yet again another portrait of a lovely cat. I had so much fun doing this, by the way. And I wanted to talk about how it is to draw digitally. Is it worth it? Does it make you less of an artist? It's kind of my take on this whole thing. And I got inspired to talk about this because I realized I created these portraits all digitally. Nothing no canvas was involved. But then again, if you think about it, this is your canvas. So let's dive in. So, what do I think about this? First of all, I need to say that obviously I started drawing traditionally. I started to do that over 10 years ago, and there were no tablets. It was like a Wacom maybe or something like that, but for sure I didn't have the money to buy that, and I was a kid, so yeah. So I started drawing traditionally, and what I would do, I would take my mom's magazines and I would try and mimic the photos I would see. In my case, I would draw portraits because I got super into drawing portraits at that time, and I also loved drawing eyes. I remember that through my entire high school, my notebooks were filled with random eyes, doodles, drawings, and all that. I was super interested in making the eyes look very realistic. For me, they express the most. So yeah, and it was amazing, and I loved it. And then I continued my journey into the traditional art, and then after starting to draw portraits using pencil, I started using acrylics, and then I started painting on fabric, and I started using fabric paint, and then I went through watercolors. And my experience was pretty nice, but there's a but. I also felt very frustrated because you depend a lot on the material. You have to wait to dry. You have to be careful what you mix in. If you use watercolors, you know how difficult of a medium it is. And that at times made the process complicated. And not to mention using acrylics, I would have my entire table filled with paint because I'm messy, and I don't want to, when I'm creating something, I don't want to be worrying about, oh, did I spill something here? No, I would create, and then I would look around and everything was covered in paint. So that was not fun because I always had to clean up and, be careful. And not to mention painting on t-shirts, that was really difficult because if paint spills on your t-shirt, you kind of have to redo it because you either find something to add, like a detail to save the t-shirt, but there were times where I didn't have that option and I would have to start over again. So you can imagine how frustrating that can be over time. So after a while of painting on t-shirts, I realized I resented it, so I stopped. It didn't give me anything. It was just giving me anxiety, and anger for some reason. I don't know. I didn't like that it was taking a long time. I had to wait to dry. I had to reapply. I had to set the paint and so on and so forth. And for me, that wasn't fun. So when COVID came, I decided to invest in a tablet. It felt like the right time because the world was kind of shut down, and I was like, well, since I'm not doing anything right now, let's give it a try, and let's see what do I think of it. And so I got this tablet that I'm using today. It's still a good tablet, so I want to change it, but for now this is perfect. And I got this, and I decided to start experimenting with it. I got some Skillshare classes and tutorials on YouTube, and I just started slowly to explore to see what it is like. And to be honest, at first it sucked. I hated it. I didn't like it one bit. It was strange because it's not a piece of paper, it's not a piece of canvas, it's not a brush, but it looks like a brush, and it's weird. So my first thought was, nah, this is not for me, I'm gonna give up. But then, since we had nothing to do at the time, I decided that, well, at least let's give it a shot, at least. So I just started to experiment with that, and the more I drew on it, the more I started to like it, and I realized that the thing that I was hating about it was the fact that I was a beginner at it. It wasn't that feel or a brush feel. No, it was the thing. It was the fact that I was new at it and I was bad at it, obviously. And it's really interesting that you know how to draw, but then you start drawing on a digital tablet and you're like, whoa, I can't even trace a line. And that's a humbling experience, not gonna lie. But the thing is, now that I've practiced it and I started creating fully digital and I enjoy it, I learned a lot, I grew a lot, and I still have room to grow. And I discovered this whole new world of creating logos that I can easily send to customers, and I can create while I'm out of town. I can have my work with me if I want to while I'm out of town, and that's really nice. And it's easier to carry because you just have this and you have a charger, and that's it, pretty much. So that's a really good point. After all this time, I'm starting to see some minuses, some cons, to say, to put it like that, of this type of drawing. And what I realized from the beginning was that it felt like the drawings were impersonal. So I think a major key in making your digital drawings look nice is adding texture, adding that grain, adding that paper feel, because I think we are still very much into the traditional way of painting. Like, it lacks soul. When you see for the first time some digital drawings, it kind of lacks soul. It's something that cannot be translated into a digital drawing, as opposed to on a traditional painting. I feel like when you get together with the canvas or the denim jacket or t-shirt and you actually do the action of painting, and you have the paint strokes and you have the random splatters and all that, that is character. That gives your drawing character. The fact that you don't have as many possibilities of erasing and starting over as you have with a digital drawing, I think that's actually a good thing, because, again, as I said, it gives your piece character. And I think that's a good metaphor on life as well. The fact that sometimes you don't have to make everything perfect, because these tiny imperfections that you think are bad are actually what makes your life so interesting, and it adds character to your day-to-day life, to your everything, to you. So do I like one more than the other? At this point, I think I like them most, and I think they both serve different purposes. And for sure, digital drawing is way better at making your art easily shareable, and it helps you create for clients that are maybe way far away than your place. And I think it helps you connect with more potential customers, because with a traditional painting you have to maybe make some prints, you have to send them, or if you want to create a portfolio you have to scan the print, you have to do all these things. Also, you can create elements, you can create vectors, you can reuse your art, you can take elements from one piece and reuse it in another. So I think that also gives you some space to relax and to not put so much pressure on yourself, because especially today with all these social media platforms, I think as artists there's a lot of pressure on us to create, as it is for most of content creators, I think. But as an artist, I think it's not realistic to think that you can just pull a full-on painting each day. I think it's the safest, the shortest way to burnout. And yeah, you can create quick sketches, you can create doodles, and you can create stuff like that. But still, it takes time to create an illustration. So for sharing and connecting, helping you connect with a larger community, yes, it's amazing and it's great. But my fear is that we might lose some character. Making this all digital and stepping away slowly but surely from the traditional ways of art. I fear that we might lose character, and we might lose those quirks, those tiny imperfections that make your art yours, and that help your potential customer connect more with you, because in those tiny imperfections is you. It's your soul, it's your way of seeing the world. And that's why I think imperfections are not at all imperfections, are your way of communicating with your audience. Does it make sense, or is it just too woohoo? I hope it does. So in conclusion, both of them are great. Both have pros and cons, and I would suggest that if you're just starting in this area, you should experiment with both, definitely, and see which one do you like most. I think it helps to have some background in traditional painting at first, because it just helps you know some basics. So if you want to give that a try, I encourage you to try it. And I think this applies to a lot of things: digital versus analog, digital versus traditional. We are in a weird place right now. I feel like it's kind of a scary place to be, with this whole AI thing and everything getting digitalized and everything getting automated. I still believe that no AI will ever be able to replicate the creative soul. because I think that's what makes each piece of art unique. The fact that it's your thought, it's your ways of seeing the world, and that cannot be replicated ever. So this is the only thing that helps me sleep at night when I think about this whole AI. But other than that, it is kind of scary. It also, yeah, again, it has some good parts. It can help your work get easier at some in some areas, especially as creatives. We all know that we do all the jobs in one job. So I need to mention that I wrote the name wrong, Brahms. It was A and then H, not the other way around, but I corrected it, and everyone is happy. Let me know what you think of. If you consider subscribing, I would really appreciate it. It helps me carry on and know that you are interested in the content that I create. So until next time, bye!